Hello, hello, hello. This is Orlando, and this is Late Night Right. And tonight, Kaz can't make it again because we're still having issues coming through her line. So, she's only there for 3 weeks, so after that, we should be able to get her up here and throwing her script ideas in here too. And that'll make it some even more fun. Alrighty. So, while you're here, you might as well hit that like button, subscribe, follow, whatever it is you want to do, and we'll see how we can get this all set up and going for setting up scripts for everybody and learning how to do it so that you can write your own stories, your own layouts, and actually, once the script is done, since I've been adapting scripts into books, I think we might just turn around and take this exact same script and we'll show you how to adapt the script into a book. And that way, things like, putting it up on Amazon or getting it published and having physical copies from a printer, even. And there you go. You now have a product that you can sell. So that's always going to be a good one. That'll be fun for everybody, I think. Alrighty, so let's get into scripting here, and we'll have ourselves some fun. Where do we want? That's over there, there. Alrighty. That's looking really small. Wow. But anyway, it does not much matter because everything is where it's supposed to be. Do, do, do. Let's get this set up. That's there. Notes are there. Alrighty. Uh, we're good. We're good to script then. And as you can see, we're already set up here. This is the automatic where we left off last week. And now we'll just start setting up the stuff that we're going to be putting into the script. Right now, we have the van that pulled out is followed by Michael's truck as they speed down the street. So from here, we can go to interior van, and we know it's daytime. And now we can show that Michael and 3 guys are in the van. So depending on the angle you want to take, if it's Michael's point of view, but I mean, his head is covered, so he's not seeing anything, so it'd be kind of impossible to take that point of view, right? Even though the camera could be pointing that way. Which way do we want to do it? Do we want to do it from the front? Or do we want to do it from one of the sides? Rear view mirror? Hmm. Yeah, let's do rear view mirror. Jeez. Okay. Okay, should he be sitting down or should he be squatting down? Have him sit on the box. Okay, so he okay, looks like he'll to the front. And then in the front. So we'll have the driver in the front and the passenger pulling off their head coverings so we can now see who they are. Alrighty, and then from outside of the van or inside? Let's put this back up here. Alrighty, the driver turns off onto a street going out of town. Or that goes out of town. That's weird. This should not be here. Let's see what the next one does. No, it's in the proper place. Yeah, that is weird. Oh, there you go. Glitches in the programming, my friends. You can't live with them, but they always give them to you anyway. Alrighty. So from here, yeah, let's make it. And then we got the driver. And passengers is, yeah. Act like a sack of spuds, will ya? Nope, can't do the movies because obviously that's something. There we go. Just act like a sack of spuds. Alrighty. Okay, so I guess we've got ourselves a checkpoint that these guys have to get past. Hmm. Okay, so we're gonna have the passenger is gonna key a code on his phone, and then out the front window. Let's put us back into the van first. So now we're gonna have the front out the front window. We're gonna see that the barricade. Um, we're gonna see the barricade's gonna go up on its own. Oops. Okay. How about we make this a little bit more mysterious? Instead of having guys run out and going, oh no, oh no, you know. And of course, no one comes out. So that's going to make you immediately say, why aren't anybody, isn't, well, why aren't there people coming out? There should be people around. Or is it an automatic checkpoint? I guess because I'm just assuming that there is an actual place for them to come out of. So there we go. No one around. Because otherwise, we gotta make sure people know that there is an actual guard post with a building there. So this is just gonna be a barricade no one's watching, but obviously it's being filmed. So does that mean we have to go back up here and add that a camera shuts off? Hmm. That would have to put us back into. That would put us into the monitoring room to start with. Right there. Yep, we already got that up here. Gee. Then we're back into the van. There we go. We'll have the passenger key, a different code, which this one's going to look after the arms on the barricade, so that we have two separate functions working out here. And he keys again, and the arms go down by themselves. But we're not going to go back to the monitor, though. Just simply because they're hightailing it out of town. Okay. So we want to go back into the van. Okay, so now that they're out of the town, past the checkpoints, now they're on an actual highway. And how are we gonna set this up? Let's see. Okay, plain and simple. Passenger says we're good. So now we have the guy in the back uncovers Michael's head. Nah, that's too simple a thing. There. How long before we get there? Alrighty. So this guy in the back we're gonna have as a friend of Michael's, or somebody he worked with, somebody he knows, or specifically deliberately got to know so that he could get into this situation of what he's doing and where he's going. Alrighty. Yeah, I thought you said alrighty. That'll work. Alright. Before we go any further though, I gotta go back up here. Because in the description, one of them in, and since we've got it, might as well just call him Guy. Okay. Oh. That's why this is weird. Okay. So we have the driver and the passenger. And I probably have to go right back to the beginning and also do that for everybody else. Yes, I do. You can tell I've been actually working on books lately because I did not automatically capitalize these as I should have. So this is just one of those things that everybody has to go back and make sure they have done. Just for the simple fact that the first time the person comes onto the screen, that's when you capitalize them so that everybody knows, okay, this is a new character. Alrighty. We're not going to see these guys here, so they're going to be out of sight. That way we do not have to actually write up a whole character description on them or anything else because they are just voices that we're going to hear in the background. Alrighty. Okay. There we got everybody. How about? Okay, yeah. You know how it is, Mike? Oh, get to know what you can do soon enough. Alrighty. Alrighty. Now, you might or might not have noticed what I did here. The driver is talking, and then I said, he glances back. Up here, it's driver, looks back in the rear view mirror. So it's specifying who is doing the looking. But because driver spoke directly before this next action line, that's why we say he. If it had been somebody else, then we would have had to state the name of the person who does the next dialogue. Okay. So from here, I'm debating. Should we get him to the point where um, he's getting his head covered again and going into a building? Or should it just be driving into a building so he doesn't know where it is because he's laying on the floor, right? Um, hmm. I'm going to leave a note here. This is going to require a little bit of thought on this, on whether or not we want him to have his head recovered before they go, or, you know, how we want to do that. Alrighty. Okay, so the one thing that needs to be figured out here is, do we want Michael's head recovered, or is laying on the floor good enough, story-wise, as they drive into an underground garage? I'm guessing if it's unmarked, then a cover may not be necessary, because he wouldn't be able to see anything else anyway. But I think we are going to have to put him into a city. But we don't want to know that yet, because that'll be something that'll be a surprise for what's being figured out. So maybe the point would be having just showing them inside the parking garage and them getting out of the car, of the van. That's one thing we're gonna have to decide on, because there's so many ways we could go with it. But if we want to keep the suspense going, because nobody knows, for the simple fact that nobody knows where he went, we also don't want the audience to know where he is, because then that softens the suspense that would have otherwise been there. All they know, the better way is literally to have them in a garage. Or even more so, just being, escorted, into a big high power office type of thing, or boardroom. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Okay, see, this is why this is only the first writing. There's going to be many more go-overs. Or escorted into a boardroom. Mm-hmm. And then we can do and this is just temporary. And that super means to superimpose it so that it actually shows up on the screen where you'll see it say 2 weeks later. Hmm. I'm gonna have to shut off the mores and continues. They bug me. They just get in the way and make it look like there's more on the page. Okay. So we're now on the street. And it's daytime. And we have Logan. And yep, we already know he's 15. Okay, and we'll throw his description in there a little bit later. Let's get the story in here, and I can throw in the description later. That'll give me something to do in the middle of the week, just to be working on the story and trying to figure it out all in my head for now on how we want to lay this out and in what order. Because the outline is awesome. It's giving me all the data I need to lay these all out in the order we had already chosen. But then we have to see if we how smooth we can run those together, and making interesting transitions in between scenes as well. So, alrighty, so we're gonna have he slows down. Mm, hmm. There we go. So we'll have Logan walk home after school with the backpack on. And he slows down at Andrew and Olivia's overgrown lawn, and that should give us that starts giving us an idea right there that he is either interested in garden work, lawn work, or that he knows that this is unusual. This shouldn't be happening, and he's kind of put out. So I'm guessing at this point he would be wondering, well, why the heck didn't they call me to cut it? Which of course meant payday for him, right? Alrighty. So now we get into okay. So we already know this is um, Sean and Tanya's house. They have two sons. Of course, Logan is one of them. And what we're going to be doing is hmm, makes this an interesting setup on how we can lay this out. Um, because for Sean to be home at that time, well, that means he worked early shift and got off at 3 type of thing. If anybody who's been working shift work, you know what that means. Okay. And Tanya's home at the same time because she works a late shift. And Matthew would have also just gotten home from school, or was already finished school. Alrighty. Okay. We're gonna see all of this happening from the kitchen in the first place. So, if you got a writing program, you do have to take it from here and you have to enter it so that it actually adds that kitchen location into your drop down window. So he's not going to the kitchen. We're going to say to Tanya. She's 43. Alrighty. Okay, so we got Tanya as being bubbly, mom with an air of fun. Do 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 do. Okay, what should we have her working on? Could be just about anything. Hmm. Alrighty. This is going to be one of those things where we come back to. Um, because we've gone through and we've done a lot of work on who these characters are. But as you can see, we have done it in the literal sense of what they do within this particular story. Okay. So she's pragmatic, defensive, creative, and a schemer. So obviously we gotta. Okay, so she's no nonsense mom. See, that's how easy this can change. Okay, so she's busy with a project at the table. Alrighty. Mr. Andrew, that's what we'll do. So, what he's going to do is he's going to wonder why he wasn't called to cut the grass. And then he pouts like it's his fault. Okay, so now we're going to have his big brother Matthew come up from the basement. Alrighty, so we have his big brother Matthew, who's 18, who is a taller, blonde-haired, and blue-eyed version of Logan. And he comes up from the basement. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to start getting an idea of why Logan would think it was his fault in the first place. Okay. Alrighty. So now what we need to do is to make sure that we gotta, brothers are brothers, whichever way you want to look at it. Okay. What else could it be? which leaves the window open there. And of course, being the younger kids, me saying that's not fair. Mhm. And Logan's gonna take off out of the kitchen, as just pull it out of there like he normally would. Uh-huh. So at some point, we're probably gonna make this more of a screaming match. Number one, because that would just be a little bit more normal, and it would also be a little bit more entertaining, but it also allows for this. We're going to have Sean out of sight. No, not out there, in here. I guess we can't, but no. There, this will be better. We'll have Sean bring Logan back into the kitchen. Alrighty. So now we have Sean proper. Okay, what's the beef about? And turns to Tanya to find out. Tanya just shrugs and is like, And see, here is where I'm gonna. Actually, this is where I'm gonna stop because this is a section that obviously is going to need a lot more in detail thought on how we are going to lay this out so that um, so that we can start pulling together a lot of the stuff that's going to be making it possible for this to all come into play where the family puts it upon themselves to go and find their friend and friend's family. So as it runs right now, so far, this is going to leave us with a solid base that we can run through and manipulate as we need to go. We can shift from here to there to there to there, and including the people and whether we want it to be a real argument that's going on in the kitchen that, Sean has to come in and break up type of thing, or, if see if Tanya's going to put her foot down, or whatever, we can do literally anything. For now, it's just going to be one of those things where we just have to stop here, and me and Cal are going to have to stop. We're going to have to think through it. We're going to have to take it down scene by scene, detail by detail, and start putting those details in, and then we will script that next weekend. Because that way we can get the whole trying to get the whole starting section, and basically just the first couple of scenes is what it comes down to in this section, that has to do with this family, and get them laid out and rock solid into what kind of people they are, and who who is thinking what, who is doing what. I know we do have some there, but we have to get them all moving and getting it to the starting point in the first place. Like who trusts whose word on what in the family to go, there might be something wrong here. Right? It literally is one of those type of things that we're going to have to set up. But anyway, so for now, that is looking really good. We're going to save that because we don't want to lose any of those goodies. That's for darn sure. And there we go. We stop the sharing on there. Let's pop that one down here. And we'll make sure our document here is saved. There we go. Alrighty. So until next week, I guess it'll be a good working week probably for me and Kaz. Trying to get start lining this up and setting the details, as I said before, and then we can literally start pulling them in and bringing in their character traits of the actual people in the family, so that we can see who they are, and even to the point of, is there troublemaker in the family, is, all that kind of stuff, because it's literally the family dynamics that's going to either make or break whether or not it makes sense for all of them to agree to do this, because they are completely different people, you know so that'll be interesting for us to figure out all of that on the fly. Because even once you do figure out who's doing what and for what purpose, and how they're going to line that up with other characters, and to be able to line that up with other scenes that are coming, but still leave enough questions that you need to have answered somewhere down the line, because you don't want to spill all the beans right off the hop. That just doesn't make for a fun show. Um, but then we'll have that kind of stuff is going to be um this is where we're going to lay down who they are. Then once we get into this, then each of their characters branches off and they become complete individuals. They're working as a family on this, but as they move away, we will find out all the real differences between them as they go along. We will learn more and more and more as they go along, but they will still have to stay within their character traits to make them realistic and full three-dimensional or four-dimensional for that matter. And then it makes it much easier to write all those characters after the fact because now you know exactly who they are and what they're likely to do. So if they do happen to do something that's outside of their norm, then other people around them are going to notice and go, "What the heck?" you know? So on that note, I hope everybody has a great week. And hey, I'll see you all next week. Have yourselves a great one. Bye bye.